stopper with great skill from him doing the Mo Salah! Raheem Sterling! What a finish! What pure class from the Englishman!
Premier Talk, the English Premier League podcast for the fans.
Hello and welcome back to the Premier Talk podcast. I'm one of your two hosts, as always, Andrew Mello, and alongside with me is Danny B, the man, Danny Barbudo. Daniel got a good one today. It's a quick one, a little concise one, if you want to call it that. We're going to title this one the three-legged race, and that's for good reason. Three teams are currently tied in first. That's Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City, the blue side of Manchester, that is. And they are all tied on points, sitting in first. It's shaping up to be an amazing title race. And this is why we love watching an entirety of a season, not just some of these tournaments that are just one-leg matches or two-leg matches. You never know. You never really get the best team. But anyways, Daniel, starting lineup, baby.
Starting lineup, kicking us off. We have two match days this week, match day 13 and match day 14. We're going to do a quick little recap for you guys.
And then I wanted to switch it up a little bit. I got a new segment here. It's the overrated, underrated PL edition segment. I got to give some statements to Daniel, some names to Daniel, and he's gonna have to tell me if they're overrated or underrated, and maybe follow up with the sentences justify his reasons. So I got some good ones.
It's gonna be exciting for you guys as always. Kicking us off, match day 13, match day 14 recap. Starting us off, match day 13 on Saturday, November 25th, we had Arsenal Newcastle. Arsenal on a hot run match leading up to match day 13. I can't say the same for match day 14. Match day 13, they beat Newcastle 2-0. Exactly what you want to see from Arsenal, picking up the 3 points. They currently sit in 5th place. So the more wins they pick up, the higher they can move up on this table. Hopefully see some European football next year, because they haven't seen it in a year now, because last year was a horrific season. And hopefully for Arsenal, they keep up their track record. Second game, Liverpool versus Southampton. Liverpool absolutely smashing Southampton in this one, 4-0. Showing why they can compete at the top of the top, the best of the best. Andrew, I know you said they were tied at the end of match day 13. At the end of match day 14, there's actually 1 point separating the three of them. So that's how the table stands now. Third game, Norwich versus Wolves. This one ended 0-0 draw. Not much to talk about here. Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Stevie G picking up another 3 points against Crystal Palace. Steven Gerrard versus Vieira. The return of this absolute rivalry, and Aston Villa came out on top of this one, picking up 3 points. They've been pretty good under Gerrard, and Aston Villa currently sit in 13th. So hopefully Gerrard can boost the morale of his team, boost the confidence, get them moving up in the standings. We have Brighton versus Leeds, again another 0-0 draw. Leeds has been weird for me this year. I don't know about this team. It's so they're so weird. It's just a team that you'll never be able to predict. If they're on their game, they're picking up some wins, they're picking up some draws. But if they're not, they're tying, they're losing, and I don't know about this team. This team's been very, very strange this year. Moving on, Sunday, November 28th, we have Brentford versus Everton. Brentford won this one 1-0. Again, another really weird team. At the beginning of the year, they came out flying against these top sides. And now they're still picking up wins, but they've been poor as of late. They're currently sitting in 12th. But then again, this whole bottom half of the table is so close. A win would propel you up 3 or 4 spots. And if you're Brentford, I guess you're okay with sitting mid-table. I think they may be, of course, being newly promoted into the Premier League, there isn't really high hopes for you. Most of the time, the teams just get relegated again and they sit back in the EFL Championship next year. Right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case for Brentford, because some of these teams that are in relegation have just been absolutely shocking this year. Like Newcastle, Norwich has been a little bit better as of late. Burnley's been brutal. And those 3 teams are Newcastle still hasn't won a game yet. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's bad. Manchester City versus West Ham. This was a great game. It was a really good game. West Ham currently sits 4th. Manchester City was, I think,
and it was in the snow. It was a sick game in the snow.
I love snow games. Snow games are so sick. And City came out on top of this one, 2-1, goal from Bernardo Silva. And then he scored again in match day 14. Guy's on fire right now. Joao Cancelo also on fire right now. those two guys. You got the Portuguese dynamic duo. I know that Portuguese dynamic duo already exists at Manchester United, but this is the Manchester City Portuguese dynamic duo.
Daniel, can I just chime in here really quick?
Go nuts.
Daniel, the fact that Fernando Santos has all these guys at his disposal, all these Premier League, these guys are the top guys in the Premier League. Bernardo Silva, Ruben Dias, Joao Cancelo, Jota is one of the best in the Premier League.
He is. He's good right
He
now.
has loads
Ronaldo,
of top, Bruno, like loads of PL talent, and he still can't get it done at the international level. I just want to chime in there. Screw that guy.
Yeah, it's I know where you stand on this topic, and I think those of you who listened to Andrew's rant a couple weeks ago knows where he stands as well. But yeah, it's just Portugal should be doing better internationally. They're forced to play Italy now.
Italy.
Which
That's
means that one of the two of them isn't gonna be in the World Cup, which
There's
is
be riding in Toronto. I'm telling you right now.
There is, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, to be honest with you. Italy being the Euro Cup champions, and then you got probably going to be Ronaldo's last international tournament.
Yeah.
So it's like both those teams have the means to make it into this tournament. So it kind of sucks that one of them isn't going to be in.
Daniel, yeah, I don't know about that one. We guessed that UEFA was going to rig it, but clearly they didn't get the memo.
Clearly.
And it's going to be probably. It looks like it's shaping up to be Italy and Portugal in the final of that sector or whatever, that side of the bracket, whatever we're going to call it. But I'm praying Portugal makes it, because if Canada makes it to the World Cup and Portugal doesn't, that's going to be a real slap in the face. So
at least we got somebody to cheer for still.
Yeah, not a contender.
The same thing with me. If Italy doesn't win, yeah, not a contender. They're going to sit the bottom of the pile. Wow, it's fine. Canada. Greatest team to watch ever. Electrifying. I love it. Moving on.
Chase, boys, dumb and chase.
Moving on, we got Leicester City and Watford. Leicester City, again, another dub, 4-2 against Watford. Lots of goals in this one. Watford, they haven't been great. They're sitting just outside relegation, 13 points, sitting lone in 17th. And then again, it's like this Leicester City team, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how they haven't been great, but they've picked up their form a little bit. They currently sit 10th, and a win would prop them all the way up to like 6th, depending on who wins and who draws, who loses.
The PL table's a funny place. It's a funny place. Harsh criticisms dealt out when you're not doing too well, but anything could happen on any given day. It's like the best way I like to relate the Premier League is to like American football. Anyone most likely to win on any day. You never know. It's always a toss-up. So that's the best
especially this
comparison.
year.
Yeah, especially this year. But Leicester, if they continue playing this way, you said they're only a certain amount of points out, so they could definitely cut shot top 6 and possibly re-cement themselves back into European football.
The last game there was one. I have to discuss one game first. There was one game. It was Tottenham, the Tottenham game. Who was it? Tottenham versus
Burnley.
Yes. Tottenham
because
versus Burnley. It got snowed out.
because Dyke came out from Burnley. It was snowing, and this guy's in a freaking dress shirt and a tie. This guy's crazy, man. That guy's built it.
That game got postponed. It had to be postponed because of how much snow there was. There was enough snow there, covered the entire pitch. They had ground school.
They should have played. They should have played.
No, it was too much. It was too much.
Played.
Relax. There was a lot. Like they would shovel the entire field, and by the time they finished shoveling, there was already another full layer of snow on the field. It was ridiculous. There was no way the game could have been played. I was actually reading about something too. There was a fan that traveled all the way from Austin, Texas, and he traveled out. It was like a 31-hour trip to watch his team. He gets there, snowing. Game gets postponed.
Wait, he's a Burnley fan?
No, he's a Tottenham fan.
I was gonna say, you would have been better off with Burnley.
Burnley fans in Austin, Texas.
It would have been worth it if it was Burnley. If it was Tottenham, then not worth it. That flight. I'll tell you that right now.
So he ended up flying all the way out there. News passed around into the Tottenham dressing room. Harry Kane responded to him on Twitter saying he appreciates him taking this trip. Obviously, a massive trip to come out. He feels bad for him that the game got postponed. He ended up giving him tickets to come see another game in Tottenham, which is class from him because you know what? The fans is what make or break you as a professional athlete. And I love to see when athletes are being grateful to fans. Like I love seeing these type of stories.
Yeah,
It's a great part of professional sports.
that was definitely a nice gesture there from Harry Kane. But I would rather Chris Wood give him the tickets, because Chris Wood's a legend. So
He doesn't care about Burnley.
he should, because Burnley's a better club. But
Yeah, Burnley's not club.
they got as much history as Tottenham. Okay, so
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. Nobody really. Tottenham doesn't really have history. That those two words don't fit in the same sentence. Anyways, where was I? Yes, last day of match day 13th. Chelsea, Manchester United, a massive two heavyweights. Well, Manchester United not really being a heavyweight right now, but coming into this game, two top six teams. And United came up with this plan with Michael Carrick as their interim manager, what we thought was going to be his first and final game for Manchester United. He came out just parking the bus.
Yeah, but he sat Ronaldo. He benched Ronaldo this
He
guy.
did. He benched Ronaldo. I didn't understand it. But
what are you thinking, man? I'm sorry. Get the hell out.
Bus.
Michael Carrick, get the hell out of the driver's seat.
Well,
you don't know now. Bro, he's gone now, but
which we're going to discuss.
I don't care. I know you want to change the team up and make it look different, right? You want to come here, you don't want to just do the exact same thing as Ole, but taking on Ronaldo, bro, are you stupid?
Yeah, not a good look for him.
Come on, man, it's Cristiano Ronaldo.
You know what? They got the point.
You brought in Ronaldo for games like this. He's the it factor, and you need an it factor in games against Chelsea, City, guys like that, because he makes a difference, and he's an aerial threat, and he's a presence up front, and he's a leader. And he's all of these things, and you sat him on the bench till the 60th minute, bro. You're a piece of you're a mort, bro.
Bro. Anyways, yeah, probably not the greatest decision making from Carrick. I don't know. There was reports saying that Ronaldo was tired or something, or Carrick said that Ronaldo he's getting up there in age and he shouldn't be playing because they had a Champions
League like Michael
game.
Carrick's age?
3 days early. Yeah, he is. He's like, yeah, Carrick's the same age as him. It's kind of funny. But yeah, he ended up sitting him. United scored first off of Jorginho just having an absolute disaster class because he tried to touch the ball when Rashford and Sancho were running at him when he was the last man back. Ball was up, came down, tried to touch it, landed 7 feet in front of him, and then they just sprinted by. They had a 2-0 from half. Sancho just ended up just taking it himself.
First PL goal for Sancho, finally, man.
Finally, first Premier League, finally. And then Chelsea ended up scoring. Jorginho ended up getting a penalty.
Yeah, of course. Because
when else did Jorginho score? And Chelsea got a penalty. He converted the penalty, made up for his mistake, and this game ended 1-1.
Chelsea should have won that game, though. They had a great chance at the end of the match. Great chance.
Rudiger. Well, then again, it's your center back up there.
But
trying
still,
to take a half volley.
That was a banger, bro. That should have gone in.
Okay, relax. If it was Harry Maggs, somebody like that taking a volley up there, I'd be like, okay, goal. But it's Rudiger.
Rudiger's gross. One of the best.
Rudiger is gross defensively. He should stay back though. Match day 14th. Moving on. Starting us off. This was a weird one. Midweek match day. I kind of liked it, to be honest with you. Lots of games. Tuesday, November 30th, we had Newcastle, Norwich. A 1-1 draw. Newcastle had a red card too.
This one I like to call the Battle of the Bums.
Battle of relegation.
Battle of the Bums.
Battle of relegation. Just 20th versus 19th. You love to see it. Both came out with a 1 point. Newcastle even having a red card. So kudos to Newcastle for picking up the point here. Even
7th minute or 8th minute, they got a red card. So
like
you guys are trying to get relegated. Honestly, just go down already. We don't want you here anymore. Take your money with you.
Then there was Leeds versus Crystal Palace. Leeds came out, won this one 1-0. Again, like we already discussed, Leeds, weird team. Crystal Palace, even weirder team. Leeds sits in 15th. Crystal Palace sits in 11th, but they're 1 point away from each other. So this was a close game here.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only 2 games on Tuesday. On Wednesday, there was, I believe, 6 games. Southampton versus Leicester. This was a good back and forth game. It ended up drawing 2-2. Southampton, again, another team sitting in 16th right now. So they really needed the points, but I guess they'll take one against a Leicester side that's been pretty good as of late. Wolves and Burnley. This one ended 0-0. Wolves probably should have won this one. They had multiple chances to score. They couldn't capitalize. They're in 8th, playing at 18th Burnley. Burnley did have a pretty easy game, though. They didn't look like a team that sat in 18th. But nonetheless, should have been Wolves on top in this one. Didn't turn out to be the case. Watford, Chelsea. This one, again, another weird one. Half an hour in, the game had to be delayed. Like what happened a couple weeks ago in the Tottenham game. It was Musa Sissoko and Marcus Alonso. That's who it was.
Marcus Alonso. Yeah.
Marcus Alonso. They alerted the referee because there was a fan that was having a cardiac arrest in the stands. They alerted the referee. The game had to be stopped for half an hour. So kudos to these guys. Again, like what happened in Tottenham. It's bigger than the game. Somebody's life at stake is way bigger than the game, and they're getting the attention that they need quickly and as fast as possible to hopefully not see something catastrophic happen at a venue like this. It's not something you want to see, and kudos to these players for doing this because this is what you love to see. Honestly, like these players know that life is more important than the soccer game or the football game that they're playing, and that's how it should be all the time. And I appreciate these guys more than for stopping this game, because at this point it was really close, and even Watford was up at this point. So for Watford to be up and a Chelsea player and a Watford player both stepped in, paused the game. Chelsea ended up coming back. They did. They picked up their 3 points. So again, I don't know. It's just I like this from fans. It's emotionally touching. We're gonna move on. West Ham versus Brighton. Again, what you want to see from West Ham is winning games. They haven't been winning games as of late, but they still sit fourth. So because they had such a gap between the likes of Arsenal, Tottenham, and United, because those teams have been on and off, other than Arsenal maybe, but they had a bigger gap, so they are able to drop points without just moving down the table because the table is really close underneath them. They went and tied against Brighton, 1-1 here. They both picked up the 1 point. Talking point: the Merseyside derby, Liverpool versus Everton. Liverpool smashed them 4-1. It wasn't even a competition, to be completely honest with you. But the Merseyside derby, I know we're going to get into this later. I don't know how I feel about these derbies anymore.
Daniel, it's dead, bro. It's dead.
Like, is it just a lost rivalry?
Daniel, it's a historic rivalry. It's deep within the city. It's deep amongst the fans. But in reality, there's never a chance for Everton. I'm sorry, there's never a chance, because Liverpool right now, when they have those 3 guys up front and Jota, Salah, Salah's fantastic right now, and Mane, you can't stop them. I'm sorry, you can't stop them. They're arguably top 3 in the Prem, in terms of ranking the clubs. So Everton, they always try to be a 6th, 5th place team, and they can never be a 6th and 5th place team. They always fall off. They've had some terrific starts over the years, but they never really contend for Europa League ever. So they always find themselves sitting mid-table. And if I was a Toffees fan, I would be absolutely furious, because I would go into these Merseyside derbies with no hope. I would go with no hope, because they always find themselves losing their manager. They always find themselves losing their key guys, and just always really being 1 or 2 steps behind the rest of the competition. Always. They've made some great signings. Don't get me wrong. I think that the Digne signing a couple years back was fantastic signing, very underrated signing. They brought in Decore last year. I think he's a top number 6 in the league. But they're missing some pieces. And when Calvert-Lewin's not in Calvert-Lewin form like he was last year, they struggle. They struggle because you have guys like Rondon up front. He's not going to really produce for you like that. So it's a matter of budget, I think, with them. And they really try to balance the budget, and rightfully so, because they're not that type of club. But at the same time, if you want to be competitive, especially in these Merseyside derbies, you have to try to break the system or the cycle, the continuous cycle that they're in. So
I'm looking at it now, and the last time that Everton beat Liverpool was on October 17th of, Andrew, guess what year?
No idea.
2010.
Oh my gosh.
They haven't beat Liverpool in the FA Cup or the Premier League in 11 years.
Wow.
Can you even consider this a derby anymore? Like, is this even like... Well, it's a lost art. So it's a lost cause too. It's not a derby anymore, in my opinion.
I rather watch...
there's no competition. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I rather watch...
Relax with what you say. You're going to go say Norwich versus Newcastle.
I don't know. I was going to say, like, I rather watch. I don't
You're
know.
still watching a top side in Liverpool. You still are. Like it's still you got to give them credit still.
Yeah, I mean, I rather watch Brentford play Tottenham. No, I'm doing it. I lied. I lied. I'm just trying to beat the bush here. I'm just trying to. What's the saying? I'm just trying to, egg on the conversation here.
Yeah, put gasoline on a fire.
Yeah, there you
Just
go.
trying to. Okay, moving on. Wednesday, December 1st, still the last game, Aston Villa versus Manchester City. Manchester City finally hands Gerrard his first loss as manager, and they pull out a win against Aston Villa. It was close. I can't lie to you. As City did score a little bit later on in the game. It was Bernardo Silva again.
And Ruben Dias, man. What
And
a
Ruben Dias.
banger, bro. What a banger, bro. Don't sleep on that.
It was a banger. It was a banger of a shot. I can't lie to you.
Bro, this guy's got better finishing ability than freaking Harry Kane right now. I don't know.
Relax.
Guy's gross,
there was a bicycle kick scored. I don't remember who scored it. It was on Wednesday. I think it was Mape. That's who it was.
Oh,
Brighton
yeah,
West Ham. Mape scored a bicycle. Disgusting goal.
I don't even care. But I just want to say, Bernardo Silva goal in this game. Oh my gosh.
Nice. It was nice too.
What a finish, man. Ball comes into the box. This guy doesn't let the ball touch the floor, and he bangs the first time, a swerving volley. He's just on another level right now, Daniel. He's on another level. And he's just a fantastic player. It's one of my favorite players. Goes back to the Benfica days. Never really got a chance at Benfica. I really hope one day when he calms down, because we're not gonna be able to ever get him like this, but when he calms down a little bit in terms of his career and he's a little bit older, I would love to see him back at Benfica, because he loves the club. He's always had, he's been very outspoken actually about the ownership and the direction we're heading. So he really wants to come back one day. He said it multiple times, so I'd love to see him come back because he's just a fantastic guy and a fantastic footballer.
There's 2 more games left in the matchday 13 and matchday 14 recap. Thursday, December 2nd, Tottenham versus Brentford. Tottenham won this one 2-0. Brentford coming off a win last week. Conte's side continuing his win streak, because now they're up to 2 in a row.
They destroyed them on the counterattack for that second goal. Destroyed them.
They did.
Lovely. Yeah.
Human Son is so good.
Yeah. It's very quick. He's very pacey. He doesn't look like a fast guy for 6. I think he's like 6'1", 6 foot. But he turned on the burners and he caught that one back post, and he just lovely. It was just a tap in, but
I don't even find that he's pacey without the ball. It's he's pacey when he's on the ball. Like just his dribbling ability and how fast he can go forward. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And the last game, Manchester United versus Arsenal. Again, massive talking point. You got Michael Carrick still there for some reason. There was COVID protocols that they had to follow, which is why Ralph Ragnick couldn't come in and step in as manager for this Manchester United side against Arsenal. He was there though. He was in the stands, which to me that in itself just doesn't make sense. How can you be there because of COVID protocols, but you can't be matching? Yeah, anyways, United taking this one. We've struggled against Arsenal. We have in the last couple of years, and I don't know why, because I know way too many Arsenal fans, and I just get absolutely hammered every single time we play them.
Get hammered.
Hammered, yes.
Like MC hammered?
Like MC hammered. We finally come up with a win. You got Bruno with a goal, Fred with a disaster class and then a master class. And this Ronaldo, what he was on.
He stepped on David De Gea. He tried to kill David De Gea. And then they scored and it counted off of it. Like it was the most
Arsenal's first goal
I've ever seen. I'd expect Maguire to do something like that.
Fred literally just when he stepped on De Gea and then he ran away, and De Gea was down like on the ground inside the net. Arsenal just continued to play on. They shot the ball in Smith Rowe like you should be doing. You should be playing on until the ref blows a whistle.
Did you?
And
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say,
scoring off of it.
Yeah, did you see Rivaldo? What Rivaldo said about Fred and how like Fred is like such a good player.
Such a good player.
And then every United player should be like him, this and that. Like it was such a joke.
Even last week against Chelsea, people were like, "Oh, Fred." Like,
I don't see it, man. I don't see it. And if you see it, I think you need to get your glasses checked. Or your prescription for.
I can't even. Like Twitter was one nuts last week and this week about Fred's performance. Last week it was like, "Oh, Fred played so well. He was so good at pressing the ball. Every single time he got the ball, he gave the ball away. That's a fact. like literally almost every single time. Chelsea was high pressing them the entire game, especially because those two defensive mids and that are playing in front of the backline. First of all, backline can't pass a beach ball, and neither can those two defensive mids. They're pressing them, which is exactly what you would want to do. He was decent defensively, and people were like, "Oh, Fred had such a great game." It was good for Fred. That doesn't mean it's a good game. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. And it's the same thing here. Fred in the first half was a disaster. A disaster. Second half, he did pick it up a little bit. He got the assist to Bruno, which was a really nice pass. But again, like, okay, sure, second half was good for Fred. You should not be comparing a player's performance based on his past performances. It should be to the overall team, which then again, he did get an assist. So I guess you can say this is a little bit better. But I don't know. I'm not a Fred fan. I never have been. And unless he really starts to pick up his performances, I don't think he really has a role in this Manchester United side, especially with Ragnick coming in. Then again, Ragnick does like high pressing, and Fred actually does. He runs quite a lot. So he will be a pretty high pressing defensive mid. But then again, do you want a high pressing defensive mid? I feel like you want more high pressing attackers. But we'll soon find out where he fits into the squad. And that is the end of 2 match days, match day 13 and match day 14 recap.
Daniel, overrated or underrated PL edition? I got a little list for you here. I'm gonna start saying names and whatnot. I'm gonna go through the list, and you're gonna tell me if they're overrated or underrated. Ready?
Sounds good.
Okay, first one on the list. Ronaldo's celebration. Overrated or underrated?
This is a tough one for me. I'll explain to you why. I was never a Ronaldo fan until he came back to Manchester United. I love him back in his glory days on Manchester United. I'm a massive Messi fan. So those of you that know, you can't really like both. I mean, you can. They're two of the greatest players probably ever. But you can't be cheering for both at the same time. So this celebration annoyed me. Used to just annoy me. Like, I hated it. My skin would, like, I wanted to like break my screen every single time I see Ronaldo singing on kids. I kind of like it now, which is so flip-floppy of me. Like, it's bad, but it's kind of funny because now it's turned into more of a meme. Like, I don't know, like there's memes now, like all over the internet of just the like even like the quiet ones, the really loud ones. So for that reason, I'm going to say underrated. It's an underrated celebration.
Daniel, 2015-16 Riyad Mahrez. That was his Leicester City days.
GOAT. He was ridiculous. He was a menace to society at Leicester City. He was. He's underrated.
If you saw him top box with the gloves on,
oh, you're getting scored on.
You're done. Yeah, you're done.
He's cutting onto his left when he's finessing one top shelf. Like, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna do anything. He's underrated. Underrated as a player. When he was on City or Leicester City, I think he's better rated now because he's aged a little bit. He plays on a team full of superstars, so it doesn't stand out as much. But I think 2015-2016 Riyad Mahrez is definitely underrated.
Daniel, Arsenal throwback kit yellow. They dropped these 2 years ago, 2019. They tried to recreate what they did in the 90s. Overrated, underrated?
Overrated. I'm sorry. It's an Arsenal kit. It's yellow. It's a brutal color for a kit. I know there's a couple teams in the Premier League that have kits that are yellow. Arsenal, stick to your red. You can even go black. You can go white. You can do blue. You can do whatever. Don't do yellow, please. I don't like it. Overrated kit. Not something I would want to wear. Not something I'd want to buy, even if I was an Arsenal fan. Just completely overrated, in my opinion.
Daniel, QPR, Queen's Park Rangers of Deltarat. What a player.
Oh, what a player. Underrated.
What a baller. What a baller.
The guy left and then he went to nothing. But when he was at QPR, underrated. He was a baller. He used to just make kids look silly. He was a big skiller. He was a great player for this QPR side. And then where did he leave to originally? Because then he went to play.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Did he go? Was he in the Portuguese league for a little stint?
He's in Benfica right now, but I don't know where he ended up beyond that. But he was. I don't know if he stayed around in England or I can't remember for the life of me right now. I could just pull up here. Oh, he went to Fulham, then AC Milan. Yeah,
Fulham. That's where he went. Fulham. That's what I was trying to think.
So yeah, he was a baller.
Yeah, he was.
Streets won't forget. The streets won't forget.
That was one of those.
Daniel, next one 3-back formations. They're hot right now. Tuchel
They are
likes to
hot
play
right
them. Leicester even adopted it. Wolves are with NES like to use it a lot. 3-back formations. What do you think?
I'm gonna say overrated for this one. I know Tuchel, obviously Chelsea has the depth and the players to play a 3-back formation. But then again, like the only thing I dislike about a 3-back formation is that there's lines to be broken, and teams like Manchester City and Liverpool are teams that can break those lines passing within them. And especially when you have Liverpool and your front three consists of, let's say, Jota right now, and then Salah and Mane.
Mm-hmm.
You got those three guys running at you, pressuring your back three center backs. Which center backs are gonna keep up with those players? Nobody. There's no three center backs that can keep up with those guys. So I'm gonna say,
but then you could get the
I'm gonna
help
say
of your fullback.
you do. You
I don't
do,
know.
but then you could look at a team like City. They can counterattack you so quickly. Same with Liverpool. They can counterattack you so quickly that if those fullbacks are stepped up the field, you're getting run. You're like, let's say your center defensive mid or your two center defensive mids, depending on which one stepped up, and your fullbacks already stepped up the field. You got a team like City running at you with not many guys back and three center backs that may not be the quickest. So I don't know. I'm gonna say slightly overrated. I've never been a big fan of 3-back formations, but then again, they are seeming to find more of a place in the sport.
Daniel, I'm gonna skip this next one. I'll just mention it for those listening. We already went over it, but the Merseyside derby. You could say it quickly. Yeah,
Overrated.
Yeah.
Overrated. There hasn't been. Everton hasn't won in 11 years. Like, I'm sorry. It's completely overrated.
Next one, I'm gonna throw it back again. Mirwan Shamak's haircut. Overrated or underrated?
The most underrated haircut ever.
Yeah, we're doing him dirty, but Mirwan Shamak actually he had a couple of games at Arsenal where he looked like Aubameyang, like he was like prime Aubameyang, like he was sick. Like he played for Palace as well, and he was just like one of those hype guys for a little bit. Then he died off quick.
Underrated haircut though.
Underrated haircut, eh?
Underrated haircut. He looks like a old man mixed with a guy in the 80s mixed with
It's like a
Aubameyang.
fake. It's like a bald mullet.
It's so weird. It's an underrated shot though.
Yeah, underrated. Fellaini as a striker. Remember when they used to pop him up striker?
Yeah, there was like 5 minutes left. They're down and they just throw him up
David
top.
Moyes to throw him up there.
The worst striker ever, but he did his job. He won headers. So I'm gonna say it's underrated for that. You know what?
Underrated.
You know what I remember him scoring some goals that were just like the ball bounced around the box. It's like the 90th minute, they need a goal, and he scores them. He's the one guy that scores them. Like, I don't get it.
Daniel, Jadon Sancho, overrated or underrated?
Right now, overrated. I think in his Dortmund days, he was perfectly rated. You know, he was a great player. He played on that wing. He was assisting, scoring goals. Right now, he has 2 goals for United, one in the Champions League, one in the Premier League. I think he's a little bit overrated right now. He hasn't been great so far, but hopefully he can step it up and go back to what he was at his Dortmund days.
Daniel, all these players have been cutting their socks and playing with like the grippy socks under.
Dead.
Overrated or underrated?
It is the most.
Everyone does it.
overrated
Everyone
thing.
does it.
I don't understand why people do it. Why? People are like, oh, your socks don't move as much in your shoes. Buy proper shoes. You know, if you get shoes that fit you, you shouldn't be moving anyways. I hate the grippy sock. I hate the way that it looks too, because you have a cut sock on top of a non-cut sock. I don't know. It looks pretty weird to me. I've never used it. All my days playing, never used it. I think I tried it once because I've forgotten my socks. You know, show up to training late, you forget your socks. I think I did it once. I hated it. I don't know why players do it. Completely overrated, in my opinion.
Daniel, I'm more of a double sock guy. I wear a double sock so the shoe's a little bit tighter, but I used to do the cut socks, but it was just too much work. You know, you're cutting a nice pair of socks, and then you have to buy the grippy socks. They're expensive. The players don't care because they just get endorsed by them, whatever. But Daniel, it's not just 1 or 2 players doing it. It's everyone's doing. A lot of guys are doing. So maybe at the top level, they see a difference in it. But maybe they're just endorsing too, right? Because it's also money to their name. Anyways,
I was a double socker too, to be honest with you. I used to wear double sock up until like maybe last year. I think that was when I switched away from that double sock.
Daniel, last but not least, Abercine. Harry
This is a
Kane,
tough one.
underrated, overrated.
Harry Kane. This year he's overrated. This year he is overrated. I always thought as a striker in the Prem, people didn't think he was one of the best, which
Hey,
I think his goal scoring ability is one of the best in the Premier League.
He led the Premier League last year in goals and assists. Was it last year?
Mhm.
It was last year. I believe it was last year. If not 2 years ago.
I
think it was 2
I
years
don't
ago.
remember. I can't remember.
But he did do that stat. I remember that stat line from him.
He was I think underrated just because of all the hate that he got, considering he's not a fast guy. He's just a big target man who turns around and scores goals. That's what he does. Now I think he's overrated. I don't think he hasn't had a great year. He had an injury, a long-lasting injury at the beginning of the year and the end of last year, which I think has altered his performance big time.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I'm gonna say right now he's overrated.
Daniel, last one. It's not on the list here. But those guys that are on TikTok area, the Island Boys, just trying to make it.
The big guys with the
Island Boy,
the blonde hair.
Yeah, overrated or underrated?
Oh, underrated in my opinion.
Underrated.
Great voices, I think.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Daniel, that about wraps it up for this episode. Episode 10 of season 3. How do we get here so quick?
It's been a fast one already, honestly.
Well, yeah, Daniel, that about wraps it up. I think this was an underrated episode, in my opinion.
Underrated.
So
underrated.
Almost as underrated as Arsene Wenger's long trench coats. But, yeah, it was another good one in the books, guys. Thanks for listening as always.
Thank you guys. As always, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. If you want to watch us live, wherever you guys want to listen, we're there, and we appreciate you as always.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm Andrew Mello as always, and Danny Barbuto alongside me. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
See you later.